This is the KSUT Regional Newscast for Monday, October 6th. Reported measles cases have declined in the Mountain West in recent weeks. It led the New Mexico Department of Health, which tracked 100 infections and 1 death, to declare an official end to the outbreak. The last case it reported was on October 14th. Dr. Megan Brett is an epidemiologist at the University of New Mexico Hospital. The epidemiologist encourages people to get vaccinated to protect themselves and others from the highly infectious virus.
The consequences of measles infection is profound because it can lead to really serious outcomes like pneumonia and encephalitis. So that's a brain infection. But the other thing that measles can do is it actually wipes out the memory of your immune system.
According to federal data, 92% of the cases around the country involved people who were not vaccinated or for whom there was no vaccination information. A new report shows that rising heat is making droughts in the Mountain West and Southwest even worse. As Kayla Bradle reports, scientists say it's not just about a lack of rain and snow.
When the air heats up, it can hold more water. That means it pulls more moisture out of the ground, rivers, and even crops. Scientists call it atmospheric thirst. And in the western U.S., nearly 3/4 of that rise is tied to human-caused climate change, according to nonprofit Climate Central. The impact is clear in Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah, where water supplies are already stretched thin. Thomas Swetnam is a climate scientist at the University of Arizona.
We're in a difficult time now. It's a time when water conservation is really critical, and we really need to be thinking about how to use the water for the best value.
The study also found droughts are lasting longer. Recovery now takes up to 4 extra months, pushing the average drought past a year. And that's shrinking rivers, parching farms, and fueling wildfire risks. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Caleb Radel.
A dry year and impending deadlines over the Colorado River's operating guidelines loomed large over a gathering of western Colorado water users last Friday. Rocky Mountain Community Radio's Caroline Yanes has more from the Colorado River District's Across Divides seminar.
The 7 states that use the river must come to an agreement soon, or the federal government could make a decision for them. Becky Mitchell is Colorado's representative in the negotiations, which she called not enjoyable. She says she's still hopeful that a 7-state consensus can be reached, and mentioned one point of agreement for all parties.
A supply-based proposal is the only way to move forward. We all have to be responding to supply.
That means that the new guidelines should be based on actual stream flows, rather than demand from water users. Mitchell said there are lots of ideas being put forward at the negotiating table as to what that system might look like.
It feels a little bit like we're in a game of bring me another rock right now, and we're continuing that, and we will continue it. We can't give up.
Water experts and environmental groups have said that all 7 states will need to come up with plans to curtail water use because of the reality of long-term drought. Caroline Yanes, Rocky Mountain Community Radio.
Supreme Court justices will hear a case tomorrow about a Colorado law that bans conversion therapy for minors over concerns that it violates the First Amendment. For the Colorado Capital News Alliance, Benta Birkland has more.
Colorado's law prevents licensed therapists from trying to change a child's sexual orientation or gender identity or expression, and the state argues it has legal authority to regulate this medical practice. The conservative legal group Alliance Defending Freedom is challenging the law on behalf of a Colorado Springs counselor who says it violates her free speech. ADF attorney Jake Warner says Colorado's law forbids kids from getting the help they need, particularly on issues of gender and sexuality.
It allows counselors to push kids one step closer to harmful drugs and procedures. That it forbids counselors from helping kids regain comfort with their biological sex, and that's viewpoint discrimination.
Medical governing bodies discredit conversion therapy as ineffective and harmful, and LGBTQ advocates worry the Supreme Court could roll back protections for youth across the country.
History Colorado will host listening sessions for survivors of federal Indian boarding schools and descendants across the state. 2 of those sessions will take place in Durango in October and November.
History Colorado is teaming up with tribal organizations to host a series of community listening sessions across the state as part of their American Indian Boarding School research project. The state legislature mandated the project and ordered History Colorado to take a deep look into the history of the boarding schools within Colorado. The goal is to document and address the lasting impacts of federal Indian boarding schools while honoring survivors and helping descendants heal. Recommendations will be delivered to legislators and education officials in 2027. In Durango, sessions will take place October 23rd at Fort Lewis College and November 17th at the La Plata County Fairgrounds. Additional gatherings are being planned in Ignacio, Cortez, Toyac, Grand Junction, Pueblo, Boulder, and Fort Collins. Earlier this year, History Colorado hired Philip Gover III as their new Senior Director of Tribal and Indigenous Engagement. For KSUT News, I'm Clark Adamitis.
Apple cider is a fall staple. It's also a tasty side effect of grizzly bear management on the Flathead Indian Reservation. Picking apples means there's less food to attract bears. The Mountain West News Bureau's Hannah Merzbach takes us to northwest Montana.
It's a big day for Carrie Kingery, her husband, and their toddler, Henry. It's the 2-year-old's first time picking apples.
You ready to pick apples, Henry?
Yeah. Carrie parks their car on the side of a relatively busy road right outside Ronan on the Flathead Indian Reservation, about an hour and a half south of Glacier National Park. There's fields of dry grass here, with the Mission Mountains towering above.
We'll unpack here, and the trees that we'll be picking today are just along the road.
Carrie's a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes and leads the tribe's wildlife program. She and her family are out here to pick enough apples to make a few jars of cider. But the effort solves another problem. Homesteaders brought apple trees to the region in the early 1900s, and they spread from there. And bears love apples.
You'll find random apple trees that will draw them in and then, have them be right next to homes.
Across the West, wildlife managers are looking for ways to reduce conflict between bears and humans. For about 5 years, Carrie has helped to run a program that connects landowners with hundreds of people who want to harvest excess apples.
We get calls every fall if we don't get our fruit gleaning equipment out fast enough because their trees are ready.
Carrie's husband, Hugh, picks up the apple picker, a long red stick with a little cage, and starts plucking fruit. The tree's covered with it.
They're just ready to pop right off.
The family drops the apples into a laundry basket. Henry waddles around, double-fisting apples. Apple. They fill the basket in a quick 20 minutes and hit a couple more trees on their way back to the car. Then head to a fall festival down the street to use a cider press there.
Henry, can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye, apple. Carrie says compared to other parts of the region, people are more tolerant of grizzlies because indigenous people and bears have coexisted here for a long time. The tribe's program is designed to ensure that healthy relationship continues.
We know that this has always been the bears' home. They created this area for us to live and flourish, and so there's that respect there.
She says that respect is the basis for how the Salish and Kootenai tribes manage wildlife. Hunting grizzlies isn't allowed in the lower 48, and the tribes want it to stay that way. But Montana, as well as neighboring states Wyoming and Idaho, are pushing to take grizzlies off the endangered species list and allow some hunting.
The grizzly bear is a species that is highly revered spiritually and culturally by the tribes, and so they have never harvested them or hunted them.
Picking and pressing apples is a fun and delicious way to coexist with bears. We're now at the Fall Festival, where residents are greeting farm animals like ducks and goats, jumping in bouncy castles, and gathered around wooden cider presses.
So right now we are